Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to either turn off their cell phone or place it on vibrate at this time. And let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time we have public presentation. I'd like to remind anyone wanting to address the trustees this evening to please raise your hand, stand, give us your name and address. You're allotted 3 minutes to speak. Also, once the public presentation portion of the meeting is closed, the board will not entertain questions or comments from members of the audience unless one of the trustees asks an individual to comment. Is there anybody for public?
Charlotte Rogers, 8121 Blue Heron Lane. I was just wondering the status of my letter of intent for the zoning position, because that was the first meeting of the year and it's been a month and a half since then. I didn't know if the board had made a decision yet.
Charlotte, what the board had discussed was, in light of Keith being our township administrator, I think the board was a little uncomfortable with choosing you as the for that board position, just from the standpoint of the relationship.
Okay. I was under the impression there was no conflict of interest in that position, since he doesn't deal directly with that position.
He doesn't. You're right. But I think the board, in looking at that, was uncomfortable with that selection.
Okay.
Have we gotten any other applications for that? And then I think we'll probably, was it advertised as we voted on?
I'll have to ask Dave, but I believe it was.
I would assume we may want to run another advertisement, and I'll speak with JT about an article.
Okay.
Anyone else wanting to address the board this evening? Fiscal officer, if you could please call the roll.
Oh, we have the wrong names on here. Okay, Mr. Governor?
Here.
Ms. Cartwright?
Present.
Mr. Maschak?
Present. And the minutes, any corrections or additions to the minutes from the regular meeting of January 28th? Hearing none, I'd move to accept the minutes of January 28th. Zoning report, any questions or comments regarding the zoning report?
You know, I asked Dave, just out of curiosity, because every month he has the Steiner, also known as a flour mill. It's ongoing. But I guess I just have to ask naively. There's nothing we can do at this point because it's wrapped up in the courts. Is that correct? I mean, there's. Yes, Keith?
I did ask Dave to send the prosecutor an email today and ask him for an update if we were allowed to send a nuisance violation to him about the structure itself with the broken windows and the weeds, if that would be considered harassment or if we were actually allowed to proceed with that. And we'll be waiting to hear back from the prosecutor.
Thank you. I appreciate that because it just seems like, the squeaky wheel type thing.
Right.
Is there another court date scheduled currently on that?
The way it was explained to me is that Mr. Steiner's attorney went through all the information and submitted that to the court. Now it's up to our prosecutor to go through all the information and submit something back to the court. So I haven't heard anything.
When you talk to prosecutors, why don't you just ask them to give us a brief update on it in writing, please?
Any other questions or comments regarding the zoning report? I move to accept as presented. Administrator Road Superintendent report. Any questions or comments? Keith, on the parkland, did you guys meet with Old North and Metro yesterday?
I did meet with the Old North Church and the Metro Parks. Old North Church is all for the project. I gave them a copy of the proposal of where we'd like to put the bike path. I said, once you sit down with your board, look at it, see if it's conducive to what your future plans are of the park. And then they were going to get back to me. I asked them if they wanted me to come and meet with the board. Mr. Drombetta said that he would get back to me later and let me know. The Metro Parks, they're on board with it. I asked him, what do you need as far as like an approach to the spur and whatnot, and he said it's just, they would go over that later as soon as we got everything else lined up. I'm still playing phone tag with Mr. George with Star Extrusion, so I did stop as a cold call, dropped off my business card, and asked him to get a hold of me when he had the opportunity.
Is there going to be any problem with the easement for Old North, or they have no problem with that?
From what I talked with Mr. Drombetta, he said they didn't have a problem with giving us the easement, so that's a step in the right direction.
He just needed to clear with the board.
He had to clear with his board,
Yeah,
yes.
he didn't see any problem.
And Keith, in regards to our calendar, if you wouldn't mind putting the workshops you're going to attend on there, so the March 12th one, you can just indicate so when we're checking that we'll know. And meetings like today and yesterday, if you're going to attend one, if you could just put on there so we can check.
Keith, under safety meeting, I see that those CareWorks packets came in. Those are the personalized one, which I saw them in there.
Yes,
Appreciate it. I guess I'm asking the board too, is there any problem with scheduling a safety meeting with the employees just to give those out, maybe review, I suppose as part of me being the BWC liaison, I think that's something I feel I should be doing.
I try to work out a safety meeting every quarter
Okay.
with different topics that follow the Public Employment Risk Reduction Program. They gave us a list of 9 different classes that we should have with the employees.
Cool.
So adding that to it would be just a few more minutes of the meeting.
All right. Well, I'll look forward to that then. Thank you.
And since you've set up now for the new cell phones and you've sent us the new cell phone policy, what we're going to have to do is we should probably look at that this evening, and then it'll have to be signed by each of the employees when we present the new phones.
Right.
Okay?
I wanted to mention something. It's been a little bit of an issue with all the weather that we've been having and the damages to the mailboxes. I know our current policy is $25. I know Bobby expressed some concern about general maintenance of some of those mailboxes that are going down. Were we looking at anybody else's policy with respect to how they...
I haven't looked into that, to be quite honest with you. I think Bobby did have
That's a good exercise.
some good points.
Yeah.
If the mailbox is actually leaning way into the roadway, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. Sometimes if the mailboxes are already put into the specifications by the postmaster. So,
I know that's going to be something that's difficult because it's subjective from the point of view of the mailbox owner. Of course, they're going to say, that it was
perfect.
Sure. But I guess just something to keep in mind, even though hopefully we're exiting this weather.
I think Bobby had sent one too for our review in an email as well. I think it was for Goshen's or Berlin's or something.
Goshen.
He thought it was
Goshen
well written.
Township.
Yeah.
Okay. Just something
Probably
when
would
they
be a good
wanna
exercise
address
to
it.
get some of the other townships, and then we can run it by everybody and see if we can just create a new one for us.
The concern we have is with our present one, kind of gives us, or puts us in a liability position with a lot of the mailboxes, regardless of what condition they're in. So that's what they're looking at.
We really have a resolution. It's not really a policy. I found
It's
the
a resolution.
resolution. It's
Well, I
not a
sent it out.
policy, yeah.
I sent it out to
It's not a
everybody.
policy, so I think we need to develop a policy.
Any other questions or comments regarding the administrator's report? I'll move to accept as presented. Moving on to the fiscal officer's report.
I have warrants for you, starting with electronic warrants. Well, let's go with the warrants, 9373 through 9470, 9407. Then electronic payments 40-2014 through 45-2014. And it totals $36,799.62. I also sent out a liquor license that I don't have with me today, but if everyone had an opportunity to review it, we do have some time on it, but concerned that the county, we have to worry about the county's meeting also, and we have to make sure they address it within our time frame.
I sent an email in response to that. Since that is a transfer of a liquor license, we do not know who's going to be in that building at this point or who that license is being transferred to. I would personally like to have some information on what the business is going to be that is going to need the liquor license. So I think we need to find that out before we automatically say it's okay.
Are these the two people that currently own it?
Yes.
Do you know? Okay.
Yes.
But they're looking to transfer it to someone else?
No, if you look on the top one, go to the first page, you can see the top one now, it's being transferred to them.
Right, okay.
But it gives us no description of the type of business. So I think we just need some information. And I would ask the township administrator to follow up on that for us.
And what's the drop dead date is what, March 24th on that?
That's when we have to have it back, but we also, whenever the last meeting is prior to the 24th, for the county, that's our deadline.
Right. Well, let's try to shoot to have that on the agenda for our next meeting, if we can gather the necessary information and to make an educated decision on that.
And the only other thing that I had for you was the street lighting district, the summer wind, which is on the schedule for tonight. If anyone has any questions, I'll be more than glad to answer them, but that's it.
Just in general, Carmen, are you concerned about the amount of overtime? Is that normal amount of overtime that we incur?
No, it's not.
Okay.
We're way over our
That's what I kind of
overtime.
thought.
We are far exceeding it. The only reason I mention it is because we have a part-timer that we have to watch the hours on, so that's why I bring it up to Keith every so often for him to keep an eye on how he's scheduling the employees. But overtime is way over.
Thank you, Carmen. Moving on, this is an amendment to Resolution 2013-12-10-213, appointment of Township Resident to Cardinal Joint Fire District Board. I'll move to appoint Township Resident Mrs. Carol Potter as the resident representative to the Cardinal Joint Fire District Board of Trustees for 2 consecutive one-year terms.
And I'll second that. And the reason that we are going back and we're amending this is that initially the board had voted last year to appoint Mrs. Potter for a 2-year term. Under the rules for the Cardinal Joint Fire District, a resident can only be appointed to a term at 1 year at a time, but we can do consecutive years. So we wanted to just correct that.
Roll call.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just have a question on that. Because in the policies that you sent out, Marie, where it says, shall serve for a period of 1 year.
Correct.
But then what else? Why are we doing 2?
The previous board had indeed done it for 2 years because we didn't have that document at the time. And so the attorney for the Joint Fire District advised that we could easily just amend this by saying 2 consecutive one-year terms. So that's why we're amending this evening.
Now, my concern here is that the word amend does not appear. It should read, Mr. Maschak moved to amend resolution number 20, whatever, to appoint. So this resolution here right now does not mention the amendment. It should mention the amendment, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So is she already served 1 year?
Yes.
Beginning.
So now she's starting...
No, she previously had served as the resident representative.
Okay.
And so she was elected in December of 2013
Okay.
to serve in 2014 and
Okay.
2015.
Oh. All right. I'm with you now.
And just as that document indicates, when we elected a trustee for the representative, that representative will now serve for the term of their election.
Yeah, I really don't read that way, though. I think that's kind of, and Steve, maybe you can read that differently than I do. I don't want to get off on that in the middle
No,
of this, but-
and you know what, we can also have that discussion, but the Cardinal Joint Fire District has had that discussion as well.
Okay.
Roll call?
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes. Moving on to new business, warrants and electronic payments. I'll move to approve warrants number 9373 through 9407, electronic payments 40-2014 through 45-2014, as general and payroll obligations of the township in the amount of $36,799.62.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes. The Summerwind Street Lighting District's Phase 4.
I'll move to approve the installation of street lights for Summerwind Street Lighting District Phase 4 at a cost of $2,013.01 for 2 100-watt HPS Colonial post fixtures. The estimated monthly operating cost will be approximately $8 per light. The installation cost and monthly operating cost will be levied by the Mahoning County Auditor in equal amounts against each parcel within the Special Lighting District.
Second. Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes. Repairs to truck 204. I'll move to approve repairs as it relates to checking the engine light and ABS light on truck 204, not to exceed $1,052.10 by Hill International Trucks, LLC. Cost will be paid from Super Blanket Certificate number 01-2014.
I'll second.
And due to the emergency nature of this repair, I, in my capacity as trustee, approve these repairs to begin immediately. Roll call?
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes. Leaf spring repairs, truck number 204.
I'll move to approve the replacement of the right and the left rear leaf spring to truck number 204 by Emch Spring Services, Inc. at a cost not to exceed $2,500.
Second. Discussion?
Obviously, our trucks are getting beat up on these roads. This is probably the 4th or 5th
That was going to be my question.
repair. In fact, I think I actually took a list of all of them. Carmen, if you need them.
Roll call?
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes. Leaf spring repairs, truck number 299. I'll move to approve the replacement of the right rear leaf springs to truck 299 by Spring Services, Inc. at a cost not to exceed $875.
I'll second.
Just a question, 'cause I'm not real intimate with the trucks here. The numbers, like 299, I'm not sure which truck that is. Is that
The 1999,
so the 99 is the year?
correct.
That's not the oldest one, though.
No.
That's okay.
No, we have truck 296, 299, 201, 204, 206.
Gotcha.
And so far this year, we have had replacements on, well, we replaced the cutting edges and the valves on all of those trucks, plus we replaced springs already on 206 and 296, and now on 204 and 299, and plus we've had the ABS and the engine check light for 204. So yes, and that's just been since January.
Roll call?
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes. Cell phone service. I'll move to approve Verizon Wireless to be the cell phone provider for the township's elected officials, administrator, road superintendent, zoning inspector, road foreman, and 2 public works employees as needed for business as it relates to the township for a total of 9 phones at the quoted rate of $400 per month.
I'll second.
And the price will cover the state of Ohio regulatory fee as well. And Carmen, what is our realized savings on a monthly basis moving to this plan?
Well, for me, it was $30.
Okay.
So and it's more because we've dropped some of the plan. So it's going to be more as far as these go. I bet you to save at least $100 a month, if not more. Do you know what it is?
I don't see the Sprint bill.
Okay, the Sprint bill usually sits around $5.
Yeah, okay.
In fact,
Well, part of the impetus behind doing this was to try to find some savings where we can. So I think it was a good move.
well, the main reason we were looking into it is we were having problems with reception with Sprint.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, do we also want to review the cell phone policy? Because once we distribute new phones, we're going to have those policies.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Does everybody have a copy of it?
I have the electronic
I
copy.
do too. Keith, I printed, if you wouldn't mind. I don't know if Brian has his or not, if you want to.
I know I don't.
Oh.
That's one I don't have.
Might have to make a few copies. Sorry about that.
Don't forget to send me the new agenda.
This is one copy?
Yes.
How many
It
copies?
also does the computer in there too.
Okay, so how many copies you want?
I have an electronic.
Yeah,
Brian needs.
I just need one, please.
And I need one. While we're waiting for that, the minutes of the 28th are in the minute book for signatures. And I replaced the reconciliation one because the date at the top of the title was incorrect. So the new ones are in there for signatures.
Carmen, do we have a roll call on this? Or are we going to wait until after we review the policy?
No, we do not have a roll call yet. Should we go ahead and do that?
Yeah,
And then,
call the roll.
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Mastrach?
Yes.
Are we going to review both cell and computer policies, or just the cell at this time?
I don't think we need to do the computer, Mr. Chairman, do we?
I don't think so, no.
Just,
Okay.
But there may possibly be a need to, I don't know, do we need a separate policy for the new
Surface.
service units? Or would
Well,
it
it's
be-
going to be for the elected officials, though, at this point.
Well,
Unless
unless we
you
have-
change it. To be determined then, I guess.
Mhm.
There were just a couple of things that jumped out at me in the policy, and I'll wait till everybody has them.
Did anyone get a chance to attend one of the policy ones down in Columbus?
Thank you, sir.
On cell phone?
Oh, yeah. This is for cell phone?
Cell phone and computer.
What chapter is that?
I think the one we really want to look at initially is section 6.4. The one item that struck me is A2, where it says the job function of the employee requires him to be accessible outside of scheduled or normal working hours. So it's not always necessary for an employee to carry a cell phone. I know that's true of some of our employees now. I think that's something that we just have to make a determination of which employees do need to have their cell phones with them. Keith, obviously, I would think I don't know, how do they currently do it in Public Works? Because those gentlemen are being called out at night.
Bob has it with him all the time.
Okay, so Bobby's the only one that does right now.
Well, I know Sean takes his home with him, and so does Mike.
Okay,
But our seasonal guys, they were just requested to be called on their personal cell phones.
okay. And it would make sense for Public Works because they could get called out at night.
Correct.
And zoning,
He leaves his in the office.
and his is left here.
That's
Okay,
correct. I think that's fine.
so I think that works for us then.
The next one. You had another one?
Oh, the only other thing is that, again, we're going to have to distribute these to the employees to have them sign it. And the only other thing is it's just notes that personal use is not prohibited, but the township expects employees to exercise prudent judgment in keeping personal calls to a minimum for incoming. We don't expect them to do outgoing.
They have their own cell phones that they use for personal use.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I think that was the other thing that we just needed to be cautious of.
And I don't think that's ever been an issue.
Issue for us.
Okay.
So I guess we should adopt the revised cell phone policy.
What part of this is cell phone? Or is
It
it in
starts-
one?
No, it would be the section that is 6.4, section 6.4.
Right above it, you got telephone and voicemail system.
That is for, I think, our hard ones. Those are for the business ones.
So it starts here.
Mhm.
And all the way through? Oh, no, then...
No, I think-
Down is computer.
Right, you just do section 6.4 for cell phone and pager policies.
Okay.
So if you would entertain a motion at this time, Mr. Chairman, I would so move that we adopt the cell phone and pager policy as presented in section 6.4 of the revised policies and procedures.
I would second that motion. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Mastrach?
Yes. Moving on to declared equipment. I'll move to declare 5 BlackBerry and 7 Kyocera flip phones as salvage or outdated equipment, with these phones being donated to charity once the new phones from Verizon are received and operational.
I'll second.
Discussion.
The only thing, again, is I think, Keith, before we shut any of the existing phones down, that we need to make sure everybody's aware of the date and time that they're going down so that they can get any information off the existing phones that they need, or transfer any information they need.
And cell phone numbers, will they stay the same, Keith?
From what I was told, yes.
Okay.
Mine will change.
Will be
I'll need a new one.
Marie's will.
Yeah, Maria will have a new one, and so will Mr. Governor. So.
Okay.
And check with the Sheriff's Department because they have a program of taking cell phones and using them for battered women.
The Microsoft Surface.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we have a roll call for
Yes.
the declared?
Did we have a roll?
I didn't show it.
No, not for declared.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes. Moving on to the Microsoft Surface, I'll move to approve the purchase of 5 Microsoft Surface tablets with keyboards from the best lowest vendor, Best Buy, at a cost of $579.99 each, or a total of $2,899.95 to perform work as it relates to township business. The 3 trustees, fiscal officer, and right now we're, the 5th would be...
Shall I second? Can we second the motion and then we'll do the discussion?
Sure, absolutely.
I will second that motion as it relates, and we'll just end it as it relates to township
Okay.
business. And I guess we need to discuss who will actually have the surfaces.
Well, obviously, each of us would have one. The fiscal officer would have one, and then there would be one made available for use out of the office, which I think is a good idea. Keith has made some good arguments to have one here in the office. He's attending conferences and seminars, and I think it's a handy tool for Keith to have to use. And it could be available to the zoning department as well, if they need it. So.
Was that? What do you currently use, Keith? Do you use?
I have a laptop.
Is that a township laptop?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
Oh, okay. All right. You were good with that? I mean, that's.
But the Surface idea was for me to take the seminars to be able to record the speaker.
So that would be accessible to you then. That
Correct.
would work. Okay.
Now, who will be going after these? Who will go to Best Buy?
That's up to the board.
Okay, have you talked to a manager to get the best and lowest price?
Our IT person went through and found out that Best Buy had the lowest price. I confirmed that with a gentleman on the phone. I asked him if they had government discounts. He told me that I would have to speak with the manager about that.
And that's what you did?
I haven't spoken to the manager yet.
Okay.
But these were the best prices that, according to Mr. Williams, and it matches with the person that I talked to on the phone today.
Would you want me to go ahead and pick these up? It's up to the board.
Well, I would think the township administrator should do that so that he's well-schooled and he's also our liaison with the IT. I think it would be in our best interest for him to do that.
Make sure you pick up the tax-exempt card from me.
Carmen, you had a concern about the version of Office that these come preloaded with?
I've already been exposed to both the student and the professional, and they do not mix well. And so when you're working with student, you're missing a lot of the functions that I'm used to using when I'm working with professional. You really notice it when you're working with Word, and when you start into certain graphs that I have when I'm working with the township and move it over, you start losing some of the functionality of it. So I do know that there's a big time difference between student and professional.
And I hate to ask.
Professional is the one you
And I hate to ask this, and you may or may not know this. Might have to ask the IT guy. Do you know what version of Word they come loaded with?
The way he explained it to me was this was just it's not a student version, it's just they call it the thinner version. That's the RT part of Windows. Most of the work you guys would be doing would be on the cloud, and you could save it to a flash drive, or when you come into the office you could transfer it to the server and go back and forth. Mr. Williams offered to come in once all the equipment's here, if you'd like to have a workshop, he said he would walk everybody through step by step on how to use the piece of equipment.
I think that's a good idea.
I just wanted to make sure whatever you were using, Carmen, that we were all that one of the main reasons is that so we can all communicate. So I just want to make sure that, you know.
I'm not sure what the RT system is of Windows, guys. Because there is the regular Windows 8.1 Pro operating system, which is different from the RT 8.1. And I would sure like to know the difference before we purchase.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there was...
Yeah, Keith sent out an email about that, and I'm not saying you should remember that, Keith, but I know that was a point of discussion with the IT guy.
I would assume that changes the price on the units as well.
Yes, it does.
Probably.
Yes, it does. But I also think we need to figure out what the government rating is, or discount if there is one available.
Microsoft has the government rate on programs.
Maybe what we should do is table this.
I was just going to say.
Because the last thing that I want to do is make a commitment to a piece of equipment that's not going to be right for us.
I think we need a little more information.
And I don't know what the price difference is from the RT to the professional version. But if it's going to create issues with communicating with Carmen, then...
Well, yeah, because I mean, that's the main reason we're doing this.
Right.
So if we have to wait a couple weeks, it'd be...
The two of them do not function the same, and so when you go to move programs around, and you've already saved it under one, and you go to move it to the next computer, you're going to have issues. I've got 3 computers at my home right now, all operating under different Microsoft, from student to regular to professional, and I have a heck of a time. So I try to keep all the minutes on one computer so that I don't have issues. And this past month, I started moving them over to the UAN, and of course I started having problems. Even opening them, it's warning me that some of the functions of the minutes are lost if I save it. And it's because we're dealing with so many different versions of it.
Apparently the RT system is designed for mobile devices.
But the Surface does come with the professional as well.
Yes, it does. And I'm thinking that we need the...
You have the Surface 2, which is the one I was looking at. Talking with Robin Bell, for example, she felt that would be all that we would really need. And you also have the Surface Pro 2.
Right.
Which I believe jumped another $400, if I remember correctly. It went from $449 to $859.
And that's just the software.
It's a difference in your memory and the programming, I think, according to what I'm looking at here right now.
Basically what we're using it for is word processing for the most part.
Emails is what I was looking at.
So I would anticipate that the RT version is fine, but I make sure that Carmen doesn't.
Yeah, that's the only.
Right.
Well, we can always start with that and see if we have any conflicts.
But then does it cost more to bring them back in and upgrade them versus just starting with that?
Are they upgradable? Do you know if they are upgradable?
Okay. I'm not.
All right, why don't we table this then and get a little more information, just to make sure that we're understanding exactly what we're getting. The Local Government Innovation Fund Feasibility Study.
I'll move to approve the execution of a letter of support to the Mahoning County Commissioners in obtaining a $50,000 local government Innovation Fund grant under the Ohio Development Services Agency for the purpose of hiring a consultant to explore the feasibility of a mutual public safety dispatching center to include the consolidation of 911 PSAPs to improve the communication between safety services providers.
Second. Discussion?
And if if anybody was in attendance at the Mahoney County Township Association, as we were last Thursday night in this room, the fire chiefs are, from the entire county, are supporting this move, as well as the Township Association itself. So I think it's important that we execute this letter this evening and get it off. Do you have a hard copy, by the way, Steve?
Right here.
Great. I'll sign. Good job.
Roll call?
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes. At this time, I will move at 7:45 p.m. to enter into executive session to discuss the potential discipline of a public employee. We are going to go into executive session. It is a closed session to the public. We will be returning to open session. You're more than welcome to stay until we return. However, we would ask you to exit the room at this time.
I second that.
Roll call.
Mr. Governor?
Yes.
Ms. Cartwright?
Yes.
Mr. Maschak?
Yes.